The following is a Thorpe TV production brought to you in cooperation with Jack Thorfinson. Live from the Pecos Painty Ranch, way up north near the Canadian border, it's time for your favorite Saturday program, The Middle-Aged Man's Guide to Survival in the Post-Common Sense Era Show, starring that incredible, that dynamic, that talented performer, Jack Thorfinson, and his sidekick, Mr. Holster. Well, Jack, that's an interesting intro you have there. I guess I'm your sidekick, and that's probably correct. It's Jack's world, and we're all just lucky to be living in it. Right, Jack? Pretty much. Today we're going to look at, first off, we're going to look at a Glock with a G10 frame. Kind of an interesting concept, and I don't know if I really have this right, but I think I do. We'll look at that, and I'll tell you what's going on there. We're going to take a look at a depot, an old railroad depot that I saw in my travels this week. And last, but certainly not least, right, Jack? No, certainly not least. We're going to give you an update on the little Taurus revolver. So let's get right down to it, Jack. Let's take a look at that G10 Glock. Let's take a look at that Glock. A kind of interesting thing. This is a limited edition, and I think you pretty much have to go to Altamont. I think that's how you pronounce it, Altamont. The grip people. If you want to pursue one of these, go to their website. But at any rate, they, in collaboration with Glock, have come out with this G10 frame Glock, and it looks like to me the G10 framing part of it is an insert into the gun. They're claiming it's giving the gun more rigidity, which, whatever. And so it appears to me what they've done is they've taken out an area in the frame to put these inserts in and probably permanently bonded the inserts or laid the material right up in the frame, I would guess. You'll notice they got finger grooves on the front on this model and the G10 grip frame with the star pattern to give it extra gripability. Huh? You like that? Oh. It gives you more retention on the grip as you hold it. Kind of interesting looking thing. I don't know that it provides any real advantage over the other, but it does provide you with a Gen 5 Glock with the finger grooves if you really like the finger grooves. I thought we'd take a look at that today because I did find it kind of interesting when I saw that they had they were talking about a Glock with a G10 frame. Kind of, sort of. Well, it was kind of interesting, wasn't it, Jack? That Glock. Yeah, I don't really know how they did that, or what the. Yeah. At any rate, next let's look at the video I took of that depot and an explanation of why I take videos of depots. Well, here we are. We're looking at the depot. I took this footage when I was passing through town because. Make it real short. After the war, my dad did some work which he was given by the Sioux Line Railroad. The Sioux Line Railroad had just gotten a brand new Pullman car, business car for the president of the railroad. So the old Pullman car, which was built in the 20s, it was built during Prohibition because it had a bar behind a secret panel. Any rate, the president loaned that out to my dad for his personal use for several years. And when I was little, many a trip we took on that private railroad car. And Dad would talk fondly of those years later in life because he really enjoyed the railroad car and the porter and the cook that were assigned to it. And he'd often tell the story of being in Washington, D.C. with my mother at a restaurant, and they'd gotten a very bad seat in the restaurant, which happened along. I'll tell you the whole story, even though it's probably going to eat more of your life than the story's worth. I'll tell it as Dad told it. They got to the restaurant, and this was in the mid-'60s, and in the waiting area at the restaurant was this young couple, black couple, husband and wife, and Mother and Dad went up. They had reservations, and Dad talked to the gentleman and said they've been waiting long, and this fellow says, yeah, we've been waiting for an hour. And Dad says, well, I'm glad we made reservations. And the gentleman said, well, we had made reservations. Dad said, really? Well, that doesn't seem right. So the maitre d' came up, and Dad said to him, he always used his first name, Ross, reservations for Ross. And the gentleman, the waiter said, oh yes, we have you right here. Let me show you to our table. And Dad said, well, how about these people? They were here before us, and I talking to them, and he said they had reservations. And that really caught the guy off guard. And Dad said to him, well, you know, if you've got the seats to seat us, then why don't you give them our table, and we'll wait for another table. Which put the guy on the spot, and he had to give him the place to sit down. So then the guy came back and said they could seat him, and took Dad back to the rear of the restaurant, right in front of the door to the kitchen, where they are setting up a table for two, a small table for two. And the guy sat Dad there as kind of a payback. And the funny part about it was one of the busboy working, setting up the table, was the old porter from that private railroad car. And he instantly knew Dad, and as soon as he saw him, he knew Dad, and started talking to him. And Dad said they had the worst seats in the restaurant, but the best service of anybody in that restaurant that night. I was going to kick on that because Dad enjoyed telling that story. Well, even though they had the worst seat, it was one of the best meals he ever had in Washington. Well, there you go. I thought I'd throw that in while you're watching the footage of that depot. Because I really know nothing about the depot. I just like to take shots at depots. At any rate, I thought I'd throw the story in to go, along with the pictures of that nice old depot. You'll notice that depot had a gazebo there. That gazebo was the real deal. It wasn't one they put up afterwards just because they made that into like a community center. The depot had been there since the 20s probably. It had thick hardwood flooring on that thing. So, very interesting little stop to make in my journey. I like railroads because of that tie. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video footage of the depot and my story about my dad. I hate to bore people with stories like that, but you know, quite frankly, I'm having a hard time getting up to 7.5 minutes to get him off my back. So there we go. Now let's take a look at that nice little snubby revolver made by Taurus. Well, I'll give you a brief update on this guy right here. I really like it, and so does Jack. We got another 200 rounds down the pipe without anything but a pleasant experience. So thumbs up so far for this baby. I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of nice to have something this compact and yet have a 6-round cylinder. So there you go. There's a brief update on how we're going with this. We'll, of course, one of these days update it in a video that will just be about this guy. Like that? I like that. Well, there you go. There's our show for this morning from Mr. Holster. Yeah, we did get to 7.5 minutes and then some, didn't we, buddy? Yeah. I want to make sure you're happy. You happy? Are you happy? Yeah. Okay. Till next time, from Mr. Holster. Well, excuse me. Till next time, from Jack and his sidekick, Mr. Holster, go out and stay safe. Did you like it that way? Well, yeah, I think it gives it a little class. You're right. Yeah, gives the show a little class. Well, at least we ate up as much of their life as we could. Can you believe those guys watching this crap? Oops.